Hello and welcome back to the Rekt Capital channel, and welcome to today's video about Bitcoin. We're going to be focusing on Bitcoin specifically in a bit more detail today, so we're not going to be focusing on any other altcoins, because if you guys cycle back to my video from before yesterday, I spoke about a variety of different altcoins and was talking about a key major resistance area for each of those altcoins, and in fact those altcoins have reached those very pivotal points in price, and that ties in with the fact that Bitcoin really hasn't done much on a technical level to warrant altcoin breakouts towards the upside, and I'm going to give you a bit more insight as to why that is. And in fact, even though Bitcoin is making very small moves today, for instance, it made a very small move up, or at least yesterday. Today it actually pulled back. I'm going to explain to you why this pullback today, even though people are panicking about Bitcoin because of that pullback is actually a very important technical step for Bitcoin to take before potentially moving towards the upside. So in today's video, I'm going to talk to you guys about what Bitcoin needs to do going forward into the end of the week for Bitcoin to continue being bullish. So we're not going to focus on any other altcoins. If you'd like to check out my TA on different altcoins such as Chainlink, Tezos, XLM Lumens, Stellar Lumens, or Stellar as they call it nowadays, Ethereum, Litecoin, and even CHZ, check out the video in the top right corner. But without further ado, let's dive right into the video. We're going to be focusing on Bitcoin specifically because whatever Bitcoin does, Ethereum will follow suit. Ethereum is very strongly correlated to Bitcoin very recently, and whatever Bitcoin paints in a technical manner on the price action, Ethereum will actually follow suit and do exactly the same. So whatever Bitcoin does in terms of flipping a support, Ethereum will do the same thing and just follow Bitcoin. So I'm just going to talk about Bitcoin today because Ethereum will follow whatever Bitcoin does. And at the moment, Bitcoin is still at this very key resistance of, well, really dating all the way back to mid-December of 2017, and I've plotted a variety of different resistances just to give you an idea as to the candle bodies, whether they're wicking resistances, candle body resistances like over here. In any case, this red line over here, this red trend line, is the last wicking resistance that Bitcoin really needs to press past in order to open itself up to really challenging for a very key supply zone in the form of 10,100 to 10,500. And the thing here is that Bitcoin really needs to test this red trend line into a new support to springboard it up to that supply zone. So Bitcoin needs to close above 9,800 on the weekly time frame, a little bit above 9,800, not right on the dot, but a bit above it for it to springboard to higher levels. And at the moment, this is actually printing a gravestone doji like candle, which is actually a bearish reversal candlestick. So that's not really a good thing going on at the moment over here. A bearish candlestick at a significant trend line dating all the way back to mid 2017, not a good combination. So, but zooming in on the daily time frame, we can actually see that Bitcoin is trying to break above this red trend line. You can see that it's really struggling to do that. It even rebounded yesterday, but this pullback is caused by the fact that we've actually rejected from this long-standing trend line. So you can see how this has been a very key point of rejection for the entirety of May, really, despite this fake out, which was entirely cancelled out by the candle the following day. So you can see that this trend line right over here is still rejecting price, still weighing down on it. So it would be great for us to close above this level to really maintain bullishness. But the most important thing for me, in my opinion, discarding those really significant trend lines dating all the way back to 2017, the most important level for me going forward is actually 9,650, something I spoke about in a video or two ago. Because if we focus on 9,650, you can notice that it's a very important level for directional bias. So let's look at the price action dating all the way back to 2017, in fact. Right over here, we actually broke past this level and rallied to new all-time highs. That's all well and good. In the bear market, we actually broke down from this level and then rebounded in a form of relief past this level again, so no real resistance there. Then we actually tried to test this level as a support, which was actually successful. We rebounded again, but then we lost that level as a support, and then we actually tested it as a new resistance before rejecting to new levels, to new lows at least. But this was of course a continuation in the bear market, because we rebounded once again in the form of relief to reject from this red circle, from this red level. So this was the rejection point. And of course, once we rebounded into a new bull market from this ranging period all the way to the high of 13,900, I believe it was, we broke past this level very easily, kept it as a support for a while, but ultimately we broke down from it right over here just to test it as a new resistance, reject once again, and then later, a few months later, we broke past this level again, but we failed to keep it as a support and then broke down. So that's a very brief history of Bitcoin's relationship, torrid relationship with 9,650, because we can see that whenever we see a breakout past this level, we always get a retest afterwards, which is always followed by a bounce. So for a breakout to occur, we always see overextensions past this level, followed by a pullback a week or two later. And this has been the case over here, overextension towards the upside, holding the highs a bit, but then ultimately a pullback just to test that level as a new support a week or two later. And the same thing here, overextension towards the upside, and a week later a pullback just to test this level into support before rebounding again. So that's the sort of scenario that I'm anticipating should we be bullish for Bitcoin in this orange circle right over here. If we manage to weekly close above this level, we might see an overextension towards the upside if we in fact haven't seen it already. But I'd like to see this in the form of a candle close. If we get a candle close above this level and then overextend towards the upside towards a certain level, we'll probably see a pullback towards 9,650 before rebounding once again. So that would be the bullish case, and that's what Bitcoin needs to do to maintain its bullish stance right now, to maintain its bullish momentum. It needs to close above 9,650 on the weekly, because that would open Bitcoin up to an overextension towards the upside, followed by a retest of this level as a new support a week or two later. That's what I'm looking for Bitcoin, for it to be bullish, but at the moment you can see that it's actually still hovering below this level, which is a little bit precarious, because every time we've seen weekly candle closes below this level, we've seen strong rejections towards the downside. Once again, over here, a strong rejection towards the downside. So it is very cool to see that we're actually consolidating at these highs relatively well. So even if we got a rejection from here, that doesn't necessarily mean we'd see a scenario like this. Not necessarily, because we've been consolidating at this area for a very long time, for many, many weeks at a time. And in fact, if we were to reject from this level right over here, it would be possible to revisit this support over here, which is around 8,500. So we've been in this range of 8,500 to 9,650. That's essentially the range we've been in for the past few weeks. And that's the best way to conceptualize price at the moment. So 9,650 is essentially the range high of this range right over here, of this consolidation range over here. So in any case, guys, a close above the red level would allow us for continuation in Bitcoin's price action, not without a pit stop, just to pull back into this support before moving potentially higher. But that's the bullish stance that we need to bear in mind. We need to watch for that bullish close above this level. And even if we get a bullish close above 9,650, but still below 9,800, below this red trend line, we could still see some hanging above on the highs, and we'd be in a very narrow range in that time, because it would be 9,650 and 9,800. That would be a very narrow, unsustainable level for Bitcoin, which would lead to price compression, and that actually precedes a move towards the upside. So that's what I'm watching for going forward. And just to cycle back to what I mentioned earlier on in the video today, that today's pullback is a very important technical step in Bitcoin's Bitcoin's price action on the daily. And the reason for that is that we are seeing a pullback after a break above 9,650. Now we're just seeing the daily really want to keep this level as a support. Because if you guys just cycle back to this sort of price action over here, let's just focus on this portion of price action. You can see that after a breakout past this level of 9,650, we failed a support over here. After the breakout over here, we failed it as a support over here. After the breakout over here, we also failed as a support here and here as well. So this is the 5th time that Bitcoin is trying to break above this level, and now it's trying to test it for the 5th time as a new support on the daily. And as long as this candle manages to keep this level and potentially consolidate above this level for the next few days until the weekly close happens from Sunday to Monday midnight, if the daily manages to hold itself above this level for a few more days, that's going to be a very positive bullish close in terms of what we're looking at over here. Because ultimately we're looking for 9,650 to figure as a support on the weekly. And if we can actually get that on the daily for a few times in a row, for a few days in a row, that's going to really positively influence what we'll see on the weekly time frame for Bitcoin. So in any case, that's about it for today's market update. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed my view here on Bitcoin. Please consider dropping a like if you liked the video, and of course, subscribe if you haven't for more videos like this in the future. I'm Rekt Capital, and I'll speak to you in the next video. Speak soon.